Hey everybody, welcome to So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
And guess what, dudes? I
What?
hope I'm the first to say this to you, but welcome to the holiday season.
Hey, it
It's-
starts in
It's
October.
So Many Scares month on the show now.
Yes,
Which means holidays kicked into gear. We're watching scary movies all month long.
that's
Um,
right.
All month long.
Kicking things
And
off.
we're going back to like the old school
Yeah.
of So Many Sequels days.
We are. We're going back to a series of franchise. We're talking about Friday the 13th this month, but not just all of them. We're gonna take a journey through the center of Friday the 13th. We've already reviewed the first one, so go back and check that out. SoManySequels.com. You can search for it there, or wherever you're subscribed, YouTube, Spotify, podcast apps. Search for that there. And then we're kicking things off this month, later in the week, with Friday the 13th Part 2. And then I won't... Well, actually, we'll wait.
Yeah, tell them what they got because we want you to watch along with us, so we can take them
you
down.
do.
We can take them down to Jason Journey.
Yes.
We've got
Yeah,
Friday
you
the
do that. I
13th
can't- I
Part
don't have them
2.
pulled up.
I got them written down. Don't you worry. We got Friday the 13th Part 2 this week. Next week, we are going to move over to Friday the 13th, Jason Lives.
Yes.
Then everyone's favorite, and probably the biggest Oscar snub I can think of, is Jason X. That's what we're going to do after that. And then finally wrapping up the month with the reboot of Friday the 13th with Jared Padalecki and Daniel Panabaker. And I got to tell you, if you haven't seen it, it is stupendous.
2009's Friday the 13th.
My only question from the titles alone is Jason Lives, right? Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Doesn't the existence of these movies, he always lives. That's what I'm saying. Like, you could call them all Jason Lives.
Well,
I mean, it
Even
goes
when he
back
dies,
to the
he
name
lives.
situation.
Yeah.
It's true. And that's the case because I think, if I'm not mistaken, part 4 is the final chapter.
Right.
And then the one right after that is Jason Lives.
Actually, no. So the one right after that is
Somehow
Friday the
Palpatine
13th, A New Beginning.
Oh, a new
Then
beginning.
Jason Lives.
Okay.
Then The New Blood.
Yeah. Listen, we haven't decided if we're going to watch them all independently. We're not going to watch them all for the show. There's too many. But if you have seen them and recommend them or think one should be talked about over another, let us know.
Yeah, I believe there are 12 Friday the 13th movies,
That's
which
a
is
lot.
one short of what they need. They need 13. They gotta hit that 13.
I know the TV show's coming out, and I think they're getting ready for a new movie. I feel like it's one of those things where people are probably trying to figure out how they can bring Jason back to the screen.
It'll be interesting because I don't know, like, summer camps are the thing. We talked about that when we did summer camp month earlier this year, but I don't know if summer camps are as prevalent of a thing anymore. And, like, does the show need does a film like Friday the 13th need require being set in the 80s? Should they leave it in the 80s like that?
Maybe there should
All
be
questions will,
Well, they're not. I don't think Reboot is set in the 80s, so you'll find out there some things. But yeah, I think it should. I think whatever they do, I hope it's modern day. I think that's what I hope. I don't know. I mean, I could also see how a modern day look at the 80s slasher would be cool, but I also would like to see Jason in today's world where he has to like avoid kids with Snapchat and shit who are going to catch him slowly stalking and all the things he does so slowly, or getting a picture of his ugly face. We'll talk about that later in the week on Friday the 13th part 2. But let's get into what we've been watching, enjoying this past week. I'll kick things off just because I really only got to see one movie this week, which was a new one called Bone Lake. You guys heard of
yes.
Bone Lake?
Yes.
only from you. Well, actually, and yeah, I feel like I do know of this.
I was a little disappointed.
Oh, you were disappointed.
Well, because you had put in our Instagram poll, like, I'm about to see the mystery movie, the AMC. What do they call it? The scene, the screen unseen or something.
Yeah.
And what is it going to be? And I knew that Good Boy was coming out, so I was like, I think it's going to be Good Boy.
You know, I
And,
wish it was because I wanted to see Good Boy. I still do.
Yeah. So, but then you said it's Bone Lake, and I was like, wow, too bad.
Yeah, it was Bone Lake, which I had not heard of going into it, and did not star anybody whose name I know. The letterbox description here says, a couple's romantic vacation at a secluded lakeside estate is upended when they are forced to share the mansion with a mysterious and attractive couple. In this darkly hilarious and seductive horror story, a dream getaway spirals into a nightmarish maze of sex, lies, and manipulation, bringing terrifying secrets to light and triggering a bloody battle for survival. That is Bone Lake. It is not as exciting as that made it sound. It is not as... I would not call it darkly hilarious or seductive. Especially,
That's a bummer.
There's I really want to... Yeah, I don't know. No, I won't spoil
Did it try to take itself seriously? Was it humorous? Because if you're going in with a name like Bone Lake, you've got to know that you can't be taken seriously. That you've got to lean into the cheese of the name.
I do think that maybe it tried a little too hard. It wasn't super obnoxious about trying to take itself seriously, but it definitely could have been more darkly hilarious than this description says. It's got basically to use more, I don't know, easier language. They book an Airbnb, and then another couple shows up, and they're like, "Well, we booked this Airbnb," but it's a big mansion in the forest, and so they're like, "Well, fuck it. What if we split it? What if we just split it for the weekend? You guys have one half, we'll have the other half." And they're like, "Okay, great, let's do that." And then things get crazy, and again, sex exists. I don't know about sexy.
There you go.
So that's Bone Lake. There is murder involved, and blood and bones and a lake. All of that happens.
The name is indeed factual.
I would say stream that one if you're.
Oh yeah.
If you want to add it to your horror list, I doubt it will be on streaming in time for this Halloween, just because it just came out. But if you like bad horror movies, stream that one. Bone Lake.
Nice.
Garrett, you got some scary movies on your list. Let's go to you next with these. Are any of these first time watches?
All of them actually are first-time watches, with the exception of Ready or Not, which I won't spend. I won't spend a lot of time on Ready or Not, just because I feel like that is a movie that's pretty popular on Hulu. I see it often in the top 10 here and there. So, Ready or Not, Samara Weaving, again, huge fan. Always will watch one of her movies. A take on hide and seek in this case, and a rich family that is trying to seek her, if you will. They're making a Ready or Not 2 with Elijah Wood is in it. I mean, the cast is crazy. So I'm looking forward to that. And it still held up. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Yeah. The other two on my list, The Raven from 1935.
Not the one with Vincent Price.
No, not the one with Vincent Price, but it does star two mega names in horror, Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. Mm-hmm. And it's an adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. Put those two on there with Edgar Allan Poe, I'm gonna be like, okay, give this a shot. I don't think it held up well. One of the issues that I have is I'm not great at deconstructing poetry. So The Raven and this adaptation, I don't necessarily feel like it made a ton of sense to me. It also really, and this could be just because they're those characters, but essentially it just kind of felt like Dracula does Frankenstein. It's based on a neurosurgeon who falls in love with a woman and then uses Boris Karloff. He's able to manipulate his face through some kind of surgery and make Boris Karloff look ugly and crazy and wild. So it just kind of had, I don't really understand vibes, but
yeah,
because of the two names, I will absolutely suggest to watch it.
But looking at it here, only about 60 minutes, so a pretty quick watch.
Yes, from 1935, they're very quick, but I will say those movies are paced differently, so it felt longer.
That's how I felt watching The Wolfman from that era.
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah,
I was like, this is like 69 minutes, but it feels so much longer.
exactly. And you have to put yourself into places. In 1930s, 1940s, those movies are made differently, the same way 1970s movies are made differently than now. So like you put yourself in the mindset, and like I can see how it's super scary. Some of the makeup effects look silly now, but like back then, definitely scary. The most interesting one that I ended up watching though was Bug. Have you guys heard of Bug?
No,
It's from
I've not heard of this
2006.
Just a Bug's Life.
This is not as fun as that. This takes place in Oklahoma.
Oh.
It stars Ashley Judd
Oh.
and Michael Shannon and Harry Connick Jr.
Oh. Interesting.
Yes, and it's a play that's been adapted and written for the screen by Tracy Letts, and the play was written by Tracy Letts as well.
Oh, okay.
And it was directed by William Friedkin. So there's a lot of names really attached to this, and the fact that it takes place in Oklahoma, so I just kind of jumped into it. And that's my goal this year, is the horror movies that I'm trying to watch are ones that I'm unfamiliar with, not the ones that I watch all of the time. And it is an interesting take. It's not your typical horror movie that you would say. It's really psychological. It's really... it kind of gives vibes of like meth addiction and some of the things that you go through the side effects of that. Michael Shannon and Ashley Judd are so compellingly creepy, and like it's just a really uncomfortable movie with great performances that have really stuck with me because of how it's delivered. There's some really weird parts. There's a weird sex scene between Michael Shannon and Ashley Judd that is weird. But it was really good. I was really surprised, and the more that I think about it and stick with it, the more it kind of grows on me. And so I recommend it. It's streaming somewhere. I can't remember where, but it was so interesting.
I see that it appears to be at least on Tubi.
Yes, that's where I did watch it. I watched it on Tubi. It was great.
I'm gonna add it to my watch list.
Yeah, I had really never heard of it, and the fact that it takes place in Oklahoma, it's not surprising that there's some meth addiction allegories there. But high paranoia. Harry Connick Jr. is an ass and so good at it too. Like
He is good at that kind of character.
It was really good. It was really good.
Sweet. All right, Bug. Check that out on Tubi. David, what have you been watching? You've been watching TV.
Yeah, a lot of streaming. A lot.
Yeah.
I have watched a couple movies, but nothing I feel like really worth dragging into this particular conversation. But I continued my watch of The Lowdown, episode 3. Very solid.
Excellent.
Really loving the show. Like, definitely has like this could be a David show type vibes, I think, for sure. Then I have been, over the last few months, I've been on the Peacemaker train, finished season 1, just before season 2 came out, started season 2, been loving season 2. We had the second to last episode, the penultimate episode, if you will, this last week. Very solid. I cannot sing the praises at this point of John Cena enough because he has developed so much as an actor. At least through this show, he's developed so much. We can all see him now. He's that good, and so yeah, really solid. Can't wait for the finale. And then kind of because I've been in this zone of I got my Superman Blu-ray this last week, and I've been watching Peacemaker, I decided to go ahead and watch Creature Commandos, which is the other show that's kind of in this universe right now. Animated show, only about 7 episodes, about some really obscure DC characters that are monsters. Honestly, it's very James Gunn, but it's also really, really good. It's hard. It's kind of a hard watch because, like, for an animated show, it is definitely super mature. So there's some graphic stuff that happens that they can get away a little bit more with in an animated show because, you can have all kinds of awful stuff happen to animated characters and it doesn't feel as bad, but there's some graphic stuff that happens, and so it's kind of a tough watch at times, but also really solid. I've been really enjoying the DCU as it reforms now at this point. And in conjunction with that, I also went back and rewatched James Gunn's The Suicide Squad from 2021 just to kind of fill out that whole week. So, but yeah, so I've been enjoying myself, but I won't drag on too much about each of those. I will say that if you want more about any of those, just let me know. Reach out to me. I will gladly share my thoughts and opinions.
All right. Yeah, those are. I've not watched Creature Commandos, but Peacemaker and The Lowdown are both very excellent shows this season. Definitely second those recommendations. Let's get into some, for me, I think pleasantly unexpected sequel news, which is that we're getting a second Simpsons movie.
Yes,
The Simpsons movie came out in 2007. The sequel was just announced last week for July 23rd, 2027. So 20 years later, if you believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
The Simpsons movie was pretty successful when it came out. So I was always surprised that they didn't immediately greenlight a sequel. But here we are. The Simpsons taking their second stab at the theater. What do you guys think? You excited? Do we have any remaining interest in The Simpsons?
I mean, personally, I was never really into The Simpsons. My parents wouldn't let me watch it as a kid. I would get, whenever I would be watching TV, if The Simpsons theme came on, I would go into panic mode because my parents were going to inevitably walk in and be like, "Are you watching The Simpsons in here?" Like, it's kind of funny to think now that The Simpsons was sort of, at times, even considered controversial because it feels like, I don't know, it feels tame now when I go back and actually watch those old episodes. But it was adult animation, and it was sort of the pioneer of adult animation or animation for adults. I guess you could say the Flintstones was, but the Flintstones was much more kid-friendly than the Simpsons at the end of the day. But yeah, so I never really had much attachment to it. I do remember when the movie came out, it feeling like a big deal. What's funny is The Simpsons, I'm looking it up here, was in season 19 when the first film came out. I don't know what season they're in now, but 20 years later, you'd think it'd be about the same amount of time. It's been about 20 more seasons of The Simpsons since. So Simpsons 3 in 2024 or 2030, 20, what would that be? 2047.
2044. Or 2047, yes. Doesn't even seem like a real possibility of a date when you say that. I think, I haven't watched The Simpsons in what feels like since the movie came out, which is unfortunate because I did grow up watching The Simpsons. I loved it. I would come home and it would be on reruns on Fox after school, and so I would watch it there leading into King of the Hill. I would watch the new episodes. But then, a show that's been on that long, it comes and goes in waves, and sometimes you miss out on waves. Word on the street is that it's gotten into a peak wave again, and it's found its stride. So I hope that this brings people back like me, because I'm certainly interested. You tell me that The Simpsons are going to go on screen, I will watch it and then consider getting back into the TV show. So I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Yeah, me too. I liked the first movie. I don't watch The Simpsons regularly, but I do peek into old episodes every now and then. That's fun, especially this time of year. I will absolutely be rewatching a bunch of Treehouse of Horror episodes. Those are classics. You mentioned The Raven earlier, and it made me want to immediately go back and watch that one, where Bart is the Raven to Homer. Yeah. Classic. But yeah, we don't know anything about The Simpsons movie number 2 yet. Just that date of July 23rd, 2027, which will probably change 15 times. Yeah. Let's just go ahead and say that.
It could get moved around a few times. When you say June of 2027?
July, okay. So yeah, Simpsons coming out in a couple years. Exciting stuff, I suppose. Let's next up on the list. This has been a bubbling conversation, I think, for a lot of people, because the streaming services just keep testing us.
Yes,
they just keep testing us, raising the prices, removing content, raising the prices, removing content, raising the prices, removing content. Yes. And people are getting sick of it. There was a report out the other day that after ABC pulled Jimmy Kimmel off the air, that there was over 1 million Disney Plus cancellations in protest. Crazy stuff. People are very easily turned off by these things now. I looked some stuff up earlier and found that damn near every streaming service instituted a significant price hike this year alone.
It's true.
Apple TV raised its rates 30% in August. Netflix raised its rates significantly in January. Peacock had a big price hike in April. And then Disney just announced a price hike that kicks in just a few weeks for their service.
And that's like their second in 6 months.
It's like their second in 6 months. And then just the other day, HBO Max announced that they will be removing the CNN live stream feed from the app completely, taking away CNN's only streaming platform for now.
Yeah, well, that was sort of your final straw.
That was my final
many
straw
ways.
because it is genuinely, I have always seen it as one of the premium perks of HBO Max. Was that it has a dedicated, real news stream that wasn't just like bullshit reruns of old newscasts like every other app does.
So which one of these do you all use? Like, when you think about this stuff that you're sitting down and using, which one, like your top 3, which
Well, I
ones do
have
you
to-
use?
This is the thing, is that you have to think about it in how you pay for it now.
Yeah.
Because they're all combined in various ways. So
True.
the pay service I get the most out of, I believe, is the Disney bundle with HBO Max.
Okay.
And my most used of those are Hulu and HBO Max.
Which Hulu is in a state of being folded into just Disney Plus as a whole. Like
Right.
it's just going to be a tab. I mean, they may not even keep the name Hulu after a certain point.
Yeah.
They may eventually ditch that, but they're going to fold Hulu and ESPN sort of in some way.
ESPN,
together.
yes, they shot ESPN off into its own $30
Yeah.
a month streaming service now that
Yeah.
also just launched, and Fox recently just launched Fox One, another $20 to $30 service to watch Fox Sports live.
Right.
Yeah.
So you throw in even all these streamers that aren't necessarily like movies or television. You have your sports streamers and your other ways of consuming too. The interesting thing that we've talked about, or at least Josh, you and I went into kind of a longer discussion on this. I think we're mostly on the same side. I think we just brought up a lot of different aspects, which was I kept saying I don't know how the bubble is going to burst on this. We talked about how consumers have to get tired of it after a certain point of these prices going up and basically pricing us out. But it's going to take in a pretty significant amount of people popping out of these top tier ones. I've written down a list here that you guys can see, so I won't specify all of these, but like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and HBO Max are kind of in a position where like they could at this point afford to lose, a couple million subscribers before they really feel like they're in desperate trouble. Now, I don't know, a million or so subscribers popping off at Disney Plus seem to help at least show some solidarity with Jimmy Kimmel, but they've got Disney Plus has 124 million subscribers. They reached profitability at the end of 2024, so they're in a place where they're feeling pretty good. For a long time, these streaming services, they weren't profitable. They were money losers, and that's still the case for some of them.
Right.
Apple TV is losing $1 billion a year, according to a report I read from Variety. $1 billion a year. Now, Apple makes enough money a year that they can be okay losing $1 billion, which is, a different conversation perhaps. But Paramount Plus is a money loser still. Amazon Prime Video is still a money-losing segment of Amazon Prime. Now, Amazon Prime as a whole makes enough money that they can afford to lose cash on the Prime Video front. But these services are finally reaching a point where they are reaching some level of stability. So, like, for the consumer to jump out, it's going to take a huge amount of consumers to just give up on
Well, they only
this.
reached profitability in the amount of time that they instituted all those mass significant price hikes. So I think you're going to see it. I mean,
Well, and I think that people are going to, again, prices are high, things are more expensive, and people are going to, again, the consumer has the power. That's the only way the bubble's going to pop. You're right. Is the consumer at this point has to realize that they are, or they have to decide for themselves when they feel like they are not getting the value for these things. As
Yeah.
you mentioned, they raise prices, they remove content. So when is it worth it? I go through this list that we have down here, and you know what I use the most, and the only one that I would be like, all right, I'll keep this one, and then like if something else comes out, like a series or something that I'm interested in, I'll consider it. I use Peacock, man.
Yeah.
Peacock is solid. They have the channels aspect, which makes it stand out to me, where it's just you can find something, and it's just like the old TV guide, or the old guide used to be on DirecTV. Think about Netflix, right? Versus doing anything else. You're giving X amount of money of that a month. That's something that you could be doing to a charity. That's something that you could be giving to the church that you believe in. That's something that you could be doing with your family, and saving that money and putting it back into something that gives you more tangible value at this point in time. Because I just don't, I look at it and I go to the point where, and I've thought this for a while, but like what they're putting out on a consistent basis is just crap. It's just crap to keep your brain occupied.
And for some reason, it's such expensive crap.
Yeah, and every now and
can't
then they
explain why
release
they
a
spend
few
so much.
things that, every now and then they release a few things that are really, really, really good. But if you look at the consistent stream of stuff they're pumping out, it's just garbage.
And you're talking about in terms of original content.
I'm talking about in terms of anything. Because, like, what you go through, I almost guarantee that everybody has the same problem now that they did 10 years ago, that they did 20 years ago, that they did 30 years ago. You have all of these different streaming services, and you look around and you go, man, there's nothing to watch.
Yeah, no, well, a lot of people end up in a situation, I find this with Nikki every now and then, just choice paralysis of like, there are so many options.
Exactly. We don't need access to everything. Cut yourself off. Go read a GD book. Go outside and get rid of some of these streaming services. Netflix is gearing up to make a bid for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
So is Paramount, and they're the one that's losing
insane.
money. So
That's
what the fuck are we doing? What do you mean you're losing money and you want to buy Warner Brothers? What the fuck are we talking about?
They think that that'll make them money.
They
But
think
they don't have the money to buy it.
Yeah. It is ridiculous the
And
amount
on
of
top of
stuff
that-
Well, Paramount
we're
Plus
spending. Like, we're giving them all our money on just at this point in time. It's just a habitual basis for most people. Think about it,
almost
it
all
really
of these-
doesn't give you value.
Almost all of these apps launched in 2020, which means that 5-ish years ago, they didn't exist.
Right.
So this whole bullshit about, well, legacy shows have always moved from platform to platform. No, not really. They moved between 2 or 3, and now they move between 5 or 6. Like it's gotten such significantly worse, and so much more expensive. And like none of them have done anything to improve the product.
Well, I mean, so I think I made that point, but my point was more so that at one point it was just mostly Netflix, and I think maybe Amazon Prime Video probably started before 2020. So like you might have things that would be on Netflix for a while, and then the rights would go away, and there would be nowhere. It'd be like you can get it on. You have to go buy a tape video somewhere. But now, now that we've had this emergence, and we've had companies, these studios have stopped selling the rights to their stuff to a Netflix or to a Prime Video for the most part. They're keeping it all for themselves. Now them opening up these bundle things, like you can access AMC Plus, Stars, Paramount Plus through your Prime Video subscription, like opening up those kind of windows, like I guess allows a certain amount of crossover there. But no, you're right. Is like the libraries themselves are scattered and hard to get through. I would be kind of curious. We didn't really look at. I don't really know if there's a poll out there, but I would be curious to know how many people are at a place where they're maintaining multiple streamers, and how, like, what the max, like what how many that is, what's the average number of people are keeping. Like I think looking at this list specifically, I have 5. I have 5 of them, and I've dropped at least 2 or 3 in the past, this year, previous years. And in addition to these, I also have Sling TV, which is, for my money, the best of the sort of whatever you want to call them, digital cable channels that you can have. And so, like, I go back and forth between dropping them, and honestly, this show is the main reason I keep most of them, because it's just an ease of access to be able to find any of the random movies we might decide to watch at any given point. But yeah, I wonder if there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, I only have Disney Plus, or I only have Netflix, I only have.
If you have Amazon, if you have Apple TV. I mean, not specifically the original content to these platforms, but you can rent anything. You can rent all of this. You don't have to have Netflix just because.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You can get it when you want to watch something that's new or interesting, or you found out that it was on there and you hadn't seen it in a long time, and maybe you drop a few here and there for a month. But like, this is not a thing that you need on your rotation on a 24/7 365 basis. None of them are.
It's worth noting too, by the way, that these numbers I put down here in the sheet, which I guess I could probably throw up on the screen, or we could throw up on the screen here if we wanted to. But
now, when you make those claims, you just claimed editing power. You
maybe I'll do
that?
that.
You can't
All right.
You can't be making promises like that.
But then I better get this episode over with pretty quickly here. But I believe most of these numbers are international. So there is an element to, of like, some of this is the U.S., but Netflix has 300 subscribers worldwide, 301 million subscribers worldwide. So some of this is an American problem, but some of it's goes beyond. Like, they could lose 100 million American subscribers and probably still be okay. I think Hulu's numbers are U.S. specific, just because I don't think Hulu's international yet. I think Hulu is still like overseas. They have a different program that Disney owns. But anyhow, I don't know where like I said, we talked about the bubble. I think they've created a certain amount of dependency over the last 5 years on these things, and as we talk about how physical media in some regards is having a bit of a comeback, it's also seeing like there's certain stores that have just stopped selling physical media, so like the options feel like they're smaller for some consumers. Ultimately, we said this in our thread offline, was if something's good for the consumers, eventually the people who own the material are going to go, well, we can get more money out of this. This is too good of a deal. We have to make this not a good deal anymore.
And I think that's the case. I think initially when these things started, it was too good of a deal because there was no other way for them to make money when things went into lockdown and the world shut down because of COVID. Mm-hmm. And now they had invested so much into that they are now realizing that this is not a thing that's profitable. And so truthfully, it is on the people at this point in time to decide that it is no longer a value to them, and that this $14.99 a month can be better spent somewhere else. Because that's not nothing. I mean, $14.99 a month on top of $7.99 a month, on top of $3.99, it all adds up. And it's a lot to have all of these different ones on a rotation at the same time. And I don't think it's going to last much longer because of the rising prices, because of where people are at. All of this is going to get caught up to them. And again, think about who you're giving money to. You're giving $14.99 a month to Netflix. They have so much money. They don't need it. They don't need any more of your money. Give it to somebody else. Maybe consider something different at this point in time.
My favorite streaming service that doesn't get mentioned in these conversations because it's not a big corporate one that I pay $7 a month for is Dropout. Dropout is produces the absolute funniest shows that you guys have never heard of. It's so fucking funny. $7 a month, no ads, completely independently owned and operated, employee owned. That's the kind of stuff I want to shift toward supporting. Same for any other type of subscription media. I've dumped some like local news subscriptions in favor of more local independent media subscriptions. Here in Tulsa we have the Pickup, which is a fantastic arts and culture and news digital magazine. They just launched the Tulsa Flyer, which is a great again nonprofit newsroom that isn't owned by a big corporation. These big corporations are making bad content, whether it's music, movies, news, whatever it is. And the only good stuff is coming out of the independently owned things. Like, we're at that point of capitalism, gang. We just are. It's crap.
Well, and the good news is that eventually all of those good people will be bought by these corporations and under
Yeah.
their name, which means people will just continue to go
That's
into that
probably
same
true.
cycle.
Do you remember when John Krasinski sold some good news and everyone was like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what
that
happened with
sucks."
that? They
They
never
folded
did
it,
anything at
and now
One of
all.
my
CBS News is run by a right wing crazy person.
for my like to kind of like in similar vein of Dropout, for years one of the only real streaming services, quote unquote, I really paid for prior to like 2020 was like Rooster Teeth. I used to watch their stuff all the time, and I would pay like $5.99 a month or $5 a month, whatever it was, for the special account for early access for all that stuff for ad free. And then that eventually got big enough that it got bought by somebody who got bought by somebody who eventually got bought by Warner Brothers. And then Warner Brothers was like, okay, we're done with this. It's over. And so like, you know, it's a matter of time sometimes for like something that's, again, good for the consumer finds its way to being too good for the consumer for the deal that it's worth or the deal they're getting. So I don't know. That's our anti late stage capitalism.
Right. Yep. It's gonna keep getting worse before it gets any better, people. I think we're
Hey,
just
but
the canaries in the coal mine.
Cancel them. Cancel
Well,
them.
while we're
Christmas is
talking
coming
about
up. Save that money.
while we're
It
talking
don't
about
matter. We're so feffed for Christmas. Did you guys see the Today Show ran a segment the other day about y'all need to be buying Christmas presents right the F now because of the tariffs?
Yeah.
Christmas is canceled.
Everybody
This
gets
is a
a
big
card
thing. My wife
handwritten
likes to
on a
buy
piece of
Christmas presents
paper.
as early as possible anyway, so it's kind of
Yeah.
working. It's going to work
I
out in
never
that regard.
thought we'd see this administration have a war on Christmas, but here we are.
Well, while we're on the subject of supporting
Anyway.
millionaires, let's talk about this week's box office.
Oh, lots of millionaires.
So the number one movie of the weekend was there's probably a more official title for this, but the Taylor Swift release party for Life of a Showgirl brought in $33 million this weekend. Josh, you talked to us a little bit about this pre-show and you know various thoughts on the show
That's
itself, but
Sold out.
but overall
house.
sold out. Pretty big weekend. The 18th best open of the year. In terms of a film, I guess, for lack of a better word, film release, films that this Taylor Swift official release party beat out in terms of like opening weekend, 28 years later, Freaky Friday, The Accountant 2, Ballerina, and One Battle After Another, which is the number 2 movie of the weekend, sliding down to 11.1 million. The number 3 movie of the weekend, The Smashing Machine, starring Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt. Gabby's Dollhouse is it now at number 4 with 5.2 million, and The Conjuring: Last Rite still hanging on to the top 5 spot with 4 million. Movies opening wide next weekend include Kiss from a Spider Woman, Tron: Ares, Roofman, and Soul on Fire. So
I'm sure. Some
let
of
us know
those
if you're going
will-
to see any of those. Let us know
You
if you're
could be
gonna see
making
those
half of
movies.
those up, and I wouldn't know.
Look, one of these is going to be Josh's mystery movie. So
True.
Possible. All right, that's gonna do it for us this week. So Many Scares is here, and we're taking on Jason every week this month. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever it is you get podcasts. We would love to hear from you on our social media. Send us a DM or get into our comments on Instagram or Threads. And join our Discord community. You can find that stuff at somanysequels.com again. All right, we will see you next time for Friday the 13th, part 2, Electric Boogaloo.